On the eve of the National Day holiday, I stayed up 3 nights in a row just to get a ticket home, but my childhood sweetheart boyfriend rescheduled it to the very last day of the vacation. I confronted him in anger, but he brushed it off lightly. "Can't be helped," he said. "The Mid-Autumn Festival happens to fall on National Day this year. Ollie wants to spend the reunion festival with your dad. Come back a few days later, and let your uncle keep Ollie company." Alice, my father's illegitimate daughter. He actually delayed our long-awaited meeting with his parents so my dad could spend the holiday with his illegitimate child. Suppressing my fury, I asked calmly, "So, you changed my ticket. What about meeting the parents?" He replied carelessly, "Ollie also wants to visit my house. I promised I'd take her there first. You can come over on the last day of the holiday." I hung up, typed a message to another man. "Do you want to get engaged? Let's do it on National Day. The reply came instantly. "Half an hour. I'll drive to pick you up." Chapter 1. On the eve of National Day, I was packing my luggage when a travel notification suddenly popped up on my phone. I picked it up, and with just one glance, my blood ran cold. The train ticket I had booked for October 1st had been rescheduled to October 6th. Who changed my ticket? I called the railway customer service in fury, only to be told that the rescheduling had been done from my own phone. A sharp buzz filled my head. Then it hit me. Yesterday at dinner, Ethan had borrowed my phone to place an order. My hands trembled as I dialed my childhood sweetheart's number. "Ethan, my ticket got rescheduled. Did you accidentally do something wrong on my phone?" Even at that moment, I still held on to a shred of hope. Ethan and I had grown up together in high school. His grades weren't as good as mine. To attend the same university, he studied day and night for an entire year. Eventually, he made it. On the first day of college, a barefaced picture of me ended up on the school's confession wall. Ethan stayed up all night, commenting under every post, "Sorry, Oriana's already taken." Soon the entire campus knew. The school bell. Oriana already had a devoted childhood sweetheart who had chased her all the way from high school to college. Everyone thought we would go from school uniforms to wedding gowns, together till the end. During freshman military training, Ethan publicly confessed his love to me in front of the entire class. By senior year, we had agreed to meet each other's parents during National Day and get married right after graduation. But now, facing my question, Ethan, the boy I grew up with, said indifferently, "Yeah, I changed your ticket." "Why?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Didn't we agree to go home together to meet the parents?" Ethan clicked his tongue impatiently. "Ollie's mom just passed away this year. She's all alone during the reunion festival. She wants her dad to be with her. Just come back a few days later. Let your uncle spend more time with Ollie." Alice, my father's illegitimate daughter. He actually postponed our meeting with his parents just so my dad could keep his illegitimate daughter company during the festival? Holding back my rage, I asked quietly, "You changed my ticket. Then what about meeting the parents?" Ethan replied with complete indifference. "Ollie also wants to visit my house." I already said yes. "We can meet the parents at the end of the holiday." I let out a cold laugh. "Fine, Ethan, don't regret it." After hanging up, I sent a message to my senior, "Jordan, do you want to get engaged? Let's do it on National Day. He replied instantly, "Half an hour. I'll drive to pick you up." Chapter 2. I collapsed weakly onto the dorm bed, staring at the piles of gift boxes on the desk. I suddenly felt like a complete clown. To accompany Ethan home to meet his parents, I had stayed up 3 nights straight just to secure 2 high-speed train tickets. I'd also spent 2 years of part-time savings to buy expensive gifts for his parents and grandmother. I thought he was looking forward to meeting the parents just as much as I was. But I never expected he really was taking someone home to meet his family. It just wasn't me. It was my half-sister, my father's illegitimate daughter, Alice. He knew perfectly well that Alice and I had never gotten along since childhood. My father had married into my mother's family. Back then, he couldn't afford college. So to make my grandparents pay his tuition, he went out of his way to pursue my mother and even volunteered to become a live-in son-in-law. After graduating from college, my dad started his own business and soon became wealthy. Not long after, he began keeping his female secretary as a mistress. When that secretary showed up at our home pregnant, forcing my mother to confront the affair, My mom was carrying me. She was so enraged that she went into premature labor and nearly died with me. Alice was born only 4 months after me. When I was born, my father was at the hospital accompanying his pregnant secretary for her checkup. Even the fee for my mother's C-section was paid by my grandfather. When Alice was born, my father stayed by her mother's bedside all night and even arranged a luxury postpartum center costing 200,000 yuan per month. I took my mother's surname, Mu. Alice, however, carried my father's surname, Jean. From the very beginning, my father favored Alice Jean. He paid my child support strictly according to the court order, 1,280 yuan per month. Not a cent more. But for Alice, her monthly allowance alone was 50,000 yuan. She lived in a mansion with a chauffeur and maids, attended an elite school with tuition over 500,000 a year, while I shared a cramped dorm room and worked part-time jobs just to afford daily expenses. Ethan said Alice was pitiful, spending the festival without a family. But for over 20 years, hadn't my father always been with her and her mother? It was only this year, when our families had agreed that Ethan and I would meet each other's parents over National Day, that he couldn't be with her for one day. And that made her pitiful? Then what about me? She and her mother destroyed my family, took away my father, and I'm not pitiful? Chapter 3. On my dorm desk sat the luxury tea I bought for Ethan's father, the high-end skincare set for his mother, and the health supplements for his grandmother, all mocking my foolish devotion. I trembled with rage, eyes red, quickly snapped photos of the gifts, and uploaded them to my WeChat moments. Hashtag half price for 3 mid-autumn gift sets. Perfect for elders or bosses. Local delivery included. Hashtag. Since I was offering them at half price, messages soon poured in from people wanting to buy them. Then, 2 new comments appeared under my post. Alice, in her delicate, sugary tone, tagged my dad. Daddy, why is sister selling secondhand stuff on WeChat? Is her allowance not enough? Maybe you should send her some money? And Ethan chimed in, full of righteous anger. Oriana, just because I changed your ticket and asked you to come home a few days later, you're selling the gifts meant for my parents? Seconds later, my phone lit up with his call. Oriana, delete that post. If my parents see it, what will they think? Do you still want to meet them or not? I laughed bitterly. Ethan, you're already taking someone else home to meet your parents. What am I supposed to do there? Be your second wife? There was a pause on the other end. Ethan's tone softened. Oriana, you've got it wrong. Ollie's just visiting as a friend. She'll stay for a couple of days. You're my girlfriend. I told you, I'll stay with you forever. Be good, okay? Delete that post. Don't let my parents see it. You know they already have opinions about you. My hand tightened around the phone, my voice trembling. Ethan, so you think your parents are right, don't you? Because my mom wasn't capable enough to hold on to my dad, the potential stock. That's why her legitimate daughter now lives worse than his illegitimate one? Because my dad doesn't like me and favors Alice. Your parents think she's the one who can inherit his wealth, so she's the better choice for your fiancé? Chapter 4. Every word of my questioning was like a sharp blade, slicing through Ethan's carefully hidden thoughts. He exploded in anger. Oriana, if you really want to think that way, believe it or not, I'll actually take Ollie home to meet my parents. I replied calmly, just one word, whatever. The call ended abruptly. Moments later, a video from Alice popped up. It was filmed in the imported food supermarket that Ethan and I used to visit together. Back then, when I had just turned 18, my father completely cut off my child support. Ethan, feeling sorry that I was barely eating enough at the campus cafeteria, often dragged me to that supermarket, buying me all kinds of treats under the excuse of shopping together. Once, while we were there, we unexpectedly ran into my father shopping with Alice and her mother. Their shopping cart was overflowing with imported snacks, every single one Alice's favorite. She casually picked up a box of imported chocolates priced at over 600 yuan, while I was still calculating whether I could afford an extra serving of meat that month on my 500 yuan allowance. That day, Ethan hugged me tightly and swore, Oriana, one day I'll buy this whole supermarket for you. So only you can shop here. Alice and her homewrecker mom won't even be allowed through the door. That promise still echoed in my ears. But now, he was holding Alice's hand, laughing and chatting as they walked into that same supermarket. Then came Alice's syrupy voice through my phone. Sister, I'm going to visit Ethan's home tomorrow, but I don't know what gifts to buy. So Ethan brought me here. Don't be mad, okay? My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles turned white. I typed with a cold face. Not mad. I'm used to it. After all, you and your homewrecker mom are the same. You think anything you haven't stolen yet smells sweeter. Even if it's shit. You just love stealing other people's men. Don't you? Alice didn't reply. A minute later, Ethan called. Oriana, why do you have to bully Ollie? She's your sister. I know you hate her mother for breaking up your parents, but her mom's gone now. Isn't it time to let go of the grudges of the older generation? Ollie's just a girl who lost her mother. Can't you be a little more understanding? If you keep acting unreasonable and picking on Ollie, I think I'll need to reconsider our engagement. My whole body was trembling with fury. No need to reconsider, Ethan. We're done. I hung up, hands shaking, and blocked his number in WeChat without hesitation. Just as I was about to block Alice too, I saw her new WeChat post. A shopping cart filled with beautifully wrapped imported food gift boxes. 2 hands, a man's and a woman's, rested atop the handle, intertwined. Alice's caption: first time visiting my boyfriend's parents, so nervous. Luckily, he came with me to pick out gifts himself. Hope his parents will like them. I froze completely, my body turning cold as ice. So, Ethan could patiently take Alice shopping, help her choose presents, and even comfort her nerves about meeting his parents. But when I had asked him what gifts his parents might like, he'd replied impatiently, just get whatever. It's just a formality, right? A man who no longer loves you will never take you seriously. Looking at the gifts I had spent 2 years of savings on, chosen so carefully for his family, I finally realized the truth. The boy I loved was dead. He died the same year we were supposed to live happily ever after. Chapter 5. My phone suddenly rang. It was the delivery guy I had called to pick up the packages. I looked at the beautifully wrapped gift boxes on the desk, and the shredded greeting cards I had thrown into the trash. The young delivery man didn't say much. He just tried to comfort me in a light tone. Miss, couldn't get a ticket home for the holiday. Huh? It's okay. If you can't go home for National Day, you can always go back during winter break. Family's always there waiting, right? Not anymore. I gave a bitter smile and handed him the boxes. After a moment of thought, I took out a box of washed fruit from my bag and passed it to him. He hesitated, but I smiled and pushed it toward him. Take it, eat it or give it away. I'm allergic to mangoes. That box of fruit had been prepared especially for Ethan. He was careless by nature but always got motion sickness on high-speed trains. Every time we traveled home together, I would pack some of his favorite fruit in advance. But now, it seemed that this fruit was no longer needed. Chapter 6. Just as I sent off the delivery guy, Jordan's call came through. I'm downstairs. Tell the dorm supervisor I'll come up to help you with your luggage. A small warmth rose in my chest. It's fine. It's just one suitcase. I can carry it myself. After so many years with Ethan, every holiday was the same. He would wait downstairs, and I would carry my luggage down on my own. I was used to it. But to my surprise, 2 minutes later, Jordan appeared at the dorm entrance along with the ever-dutiful dorm supervisor. When he saw me, he smiled. I told the supervisor you're my girlfriend and that I'm here to take you to meet my parents. The dorm supervisor looked at us and gave a warm, motherly smile. Then Jordan, like performing a magic trick, pulled out a box of exquisite imported chocolates and handed it to her. Ma'am, thank you for taking care of Oriana. This is our engagement candy. According to school policy, dorm supervisors couldn't accept gifts from students, but engagement candy was an exception. Jordan drove a modest gray Volvo, completely different from his usual flamboyant style. Seeing my puzzled look, he explained with a smile. My grandpa's recovering at the Veterans Sanatorium, and my parents are there too. At school, Jordan had always been a bit of a mystery. Rumor had it he was from a powerful family, the kind of background people only whispered about. I'd never been anywhere close to a veterans sanatorium before, and suddenly, I felt nervous. Jordan, can we stop by a mall first? He gave me a curious glance. Blushing, I said softly, it's my first time visiting your family. I can't go empty-handed. Can I? Jordan chuckled and drove me to a boutique supermarket tucked away in a quiet area. Seeing my confusion, he explained. My mom's workplace gives her shopping cards for this place. She never uses them, so we can use the card, it won't cost a thing. In that instant, my eyes stung, and I quickly turned to look out the window to hide it. So he knew all along, he knew that I wasn't doing so well financially. Chapter 7. After my parents divorced, my mom returned to our hometown to help my grandfather manage the family's tea plantation, more than 10 acres of land. A whole year of hard work brought in barely over 100,000 yuan, and after subtracting fertilizer and labor costs, there was just enough left to cover my college tuition. So during these years in university, I worked part-time whenever I could to help out at home. That's how I met Jordan. Back then, I was secretly working at a bar to earn extra money for Ethan's birthday present, when a drunk customer cornered me and tried to force drinks on me. It was Jordan who pulled me out of that private room. I later learned that the bar belonged to one of Jordan's wealthy friends. He never asked why I was working there. The next day, he just sent me a message recommending another part-time job, safer and better paid. I always thought Jordan and I came from two completely different worlds. Jordan Mao's family background was so powerful that even Ethan's family treated them with caution. Ethan's parents already looked down on me, so what would the Mao family think of someone like me? I never imagined that one day, that same untouchable Jordan would confess his feelings for me. It happened after my first big fight with Ethan, over Alice. Of course, Alice was a year younger than us, but for some reason, she insisted on applying to the same university I did. On the day of her enrollment, my father called me and asked me to pick her up. I refused without hesitation. How could he even have the nerve to ask me to pick up his illegitimate daughter? When I had been admitted to college years earlier, there wasn't even a direct train from home to campus. My mother had called my father, asking if he could send a driver to drop me off. His answer had been, "Oriana's 18 now. She's not a child anymore. She needs to learn independence." But when it was his precious illegitimate daughter's turn, suddenly independence didn't matter anymore? That night, I told Ethan everything through tearful eyes. I thought he would take my side, stand with me against Alice, the girl who had wrecked my family. But the next morning, I saw him downstairs at the freshman dorm, smiling and chatting with Alice while carrying her suitcase. Chapter 8. The moment our eyes met, Ethan froze. He quickly dropped the suitcase and rushed toward me, looking flustered. "Oriana, Uncle Gene called me and asked if I could help pick up Ollie." I just thought, well, he's your dad. I couldn't really say no, right? I didn't respond. I just gave him one look, disappointment, pure and deep, and turned away. I thought he would come after me like he always did. But that day, I waited at our usual spot, Lover's Hill, from dusk until the stars filled the sky. Ethan never came. When I checked my phone, I accidentally opened Alice's latest post. 9 photos in a collage, my childhood sweetheart smiling beside her, helping her fetch water, refill her meal card, make her bed, and hang up her mosquito net. The comment section was full of praise. Everyone said Alice had found the perfect boyfriend, and among them was a comment from my own father, the man who had never once liked or commented on any of my posts. "Ethan's a good kid. Too bad he ended up with that unfilial daughter Oriana, what a pity." Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. My hands trembled as I typed a message to Ethan. "Let's break up." As I hit send, the last bar of my phone battery flickered out, and darkness swallowed the entire Lover's Hill. Then, through the shadows, a faint beam of light appeared before me. It was Jordan. He crouched down, gently patted my head, and sighed heavily. "Oriana, does it really have to be him? Just because you grew up together, does that mean he's the only one you can love? What if you gave me a chance instead?" Chapter 9. My thoughts drifted back as I looked at Jordan's serious side profile while he carefully chose a gift. Suddenly, I thought, maybe trying someone new isn't such a bad idea after all. The silver-gray Volvo passed through a stretch of forest before finally arriving at the retirement compound. A guard stood at the gate, and Jordan drove straight to a modest red brick building. In the yard, an elderly man with a straight back was tending to his bonsai plants. Jordan's mother was arranging fruit plates and mooncakes. Mr. Mao, Jordan's father, a man often seen on TV news, was wearing an apron and sleeve protectors, managing 2 stoves at once. One pot simmered with braised chicken and chestnuts, while the other steamed hairy crabs. To my surprise, Jordan Mao's grandparents and parents were all easygoing and warm, without a hint of arrogance. When Grandpa Mao heard that my family ran a tea plantation, he eagerly pulled me aside to taste his treasured teas. Seeing us drinking tea, Mr. Mao brought over a plate of freshly made sugar-roasted chestnuts, nudging Jordan with a mischievous grin. "Don't just stand there like a wooden pole. Go peel some chestnuts for your girlfriend, make yourself useful." Mrs. Mao asked me where my hometown was. I answered honestly, "Golden Mountain." Grandpa Mao paused mid-pour, his hand trembling slightly. "Golden Mountain? That's a good place. An old revolutionary area. I have many old comrades from there." "Oh right. Jordan mentioned your grandfather was in the army too. Which unit was he in? What was his name?" I shook my head. "I'm not sure about the unit. I only remember my grandpa telling me he fought in the Liberation Campaign. Later, his leg was blown off by a shell, and he retired back home. My grandfather's name is Casey Moo." Clink! The teacup slipped from Grandpa Mao's hand and hit the carpet. "Casey? Was your grandfather's nickname Jimbo?" My eyes widened in shock. "How do you know my grandpa's nickname?" Even my dad and Ethan didn't know about this. My grandfather had been weak and sickly as a child, so my great-grandmother followed an old local custom and gave him a girl's nickname, hoping to fool the king of hell into sparing him. But Grandpa always hated the name Jimbo, thinking it sounded unmanly, and he never let anyone call him that. By now, almost no one in my hometown remembered that nickname. So, how could Grandpa Mao possibly know? Chapter 10. Grandpa Mao didn't answer. His hands trembled as he reached for his reading glasses on the table. After putting them on, he studied my face carefully for a while and murmured, "She looks like him, so much like him. No wonder I felt such warmth when I first saw you. So you're Jimbo's granddaughter, of course. That explains everything." Wiping the corners of his eyes, Grandpa Mao gave Jordan a hearty slap on the shoulder and burst into laughter. "As expected of my grandson. Elio's own blood. You've got the same good taste in women as your old man." Only then did I realize my grandfather and Grandpa Mao had actually fought together in the Liberation Campaign. Laughing, Grandpa Mao said, "Back then, your grandpa and I both got injured. He lost a leg. I lost an arm. He was in the bed right next to mine at the field hospital. When the troops moved north, I went with the main force. Your grandpa wasn't so lucky, his leg never healed. And I heard he went back home to grow tea. Didn't he?" I smiled faintly. "He sure did. But not just tea, he also kept bees, raised silkworms, planted hickory, chestnuts, and torreya trees on the mountain. He even grew his own woodier mushrooms and sugarcane." At that, Grandpa Mao couldn't sit still anymore. "Look at you all! The girl's already come to meet the parents, and you still haven't gone to meet her family? Prepare some gifts. We need to pay a proper visit to the young lady's home too." Mrs. Mao chuckled. "Even an ugly son-in-law has to meet his mother-in-law. Jordan should go and meet his future in-laws properly." The next day, still feeling dazed, I found myself sitting in the military car assigned to Grandpa Mao, heading straight for my hometown. My grandfather and Grandpa Mao hadn't seen each other in years. The moment they met, it was as if they had endless stories to share. When my mother saw Jordan carrying armfuls of lavish gift boxes, and Mrs. Mao cheerfully calling her in-law, she turned to me, completely confused. "Oriana, what's going on? Weren't you and Ethan?" I gave a bitter smile and didn't hide it. "Mom, Ethan took Alice home to meet his parents." Just that one sentence, and my mother understood everything. Her eyes reddened slightly as she pulled me into her arms. Like when I was little, she patted my back gently and whispered, "It's okay. It's okay. There are plenty of men out there. If one doesn't work out, we'll just find another. This Jordan seems nice, tall, strong, and honestly, way more handsome than that Ethan. And his grandfather was your grandpa's old comrade in arms. That means we actually know where he comes from." Chapter 11. Since it was the first time the in-laws were visiting, my mom thought for a while, not wanting me to lose face in front of my future parents-in-law. She decided to call my dad, David. Oriana brought her boyfriend home. His parents came too. "You should come meet them." Before my dad could answer, Alice's voice suddenly cried out over the phone, tearful and dramatic, "Dad, Could it be that Oriana brought a fake boyfriend just because Ethan invited me to his house? What in-laws? Maybe they're just extras she hired for 200 yuan a day. Why would she do that? I told her Ethan and I are just friends. My dad paused, then snapped impatiently at my mom. You're being ridiculous along with her. What boyfriend? Everyone knows Oriana and Ethan have been together since childhood. They're about to get engaged. Ethan's right here next to me. Where would she find a boyfriend? Ethan's voice came through next. Oriana, what's the point of lying like this? Everyone knows you're my girlfriend. We've been together 4 years. Who else could be your boyfriend? Come on. Stop being childish. I told you. I'm just spending the Mid-Autumn Festival with Ollie and Uncle Gene. Once it's over, I'll take you to meet my parents. All right? I took the phone from my mom, my tone icy. Ethan, I already told you, we broke up. I'm not going back with you to meet anyone. And whether I have a boyfriend or not is none of your business. Ethan's voice rose with anger. Fine. You said it yourself. Just don't regret it later. Moments later, Alice posted a new update on her WeChat moments. In the photo, Ethan's family villa. Ethan, his parents, my dad, and Alice sat around the table eating a reunion dinner. Ethan and Alice were side by side. Ethan peeling crabs for her with tender care. Alice's caption, finally met the parents. Ethan, clearly doing it out of spite, commented below, some people just aren't that lucky. Lucky? Whoever wants that luck can have it. I gave the post a big thumbs up and left a sincere blessing. Scumbag and B*TCH. May you stay locked together forever, till death and no offspring. The next second, Alice called me. I casually blocked and deleted her. Then my dad called again. I looked at my mom instinctively. She crossed her arms and said, "What are you looking at me for? That old fool can't even show up to meet your future in-laws. You still call him your father?" I chuckled. You're right. Guess I don't need one anymore. Then I blocked and deleted him too. At that moment, Jordan came in holding 2 long ridge gourds, knocking carefully on the door. Auntie, these gourds look different from the ones we buy. I'm not sure how to peel them. My mom laughed and led him to the yard, showing him how to peel the angled gourds and even telling him to feed the chicken with the peels. That evening, my mom slaughtered a big rooster she had raised for 2 years. It's our local tradition, when a new son-in-law visits for the first time, the family must cook a big rooster to welcome him. Thinking of Alice's WeChat post, I took a family photo of my own and posted my own update. Hashtag finally met the parents, hashtag. A few minutes later, an unknown number flashed on my phone. As soon as I answered, Ethan's furious voice came through. Oriana, how could you be with Jordan? Don't you know what kind of family he's from? Those high-ranking military families don't take common girls seriously. He's just toying with you. Jordan overheard and looked at me. Hurt. Oriana, he's slandering me. I gently patted his arm to comfort him and replied coldly into the phone. I know exactly what kind of man Jordan is. At least he never took another woman home to meet his parents while he was dating me. Ethan, stop calling me. From the moment you took Alice home, everything between us was over. Chapter 12. After I hung up, Ethan went completely insane. He kept changing numbers and calling both me and my mom nonstop. Annoyed to death, I finally switched both our phones to airplane mode. Since Grandpa Mao's health wasn't great, both families discussed it and decided to hold the engagement banquet in Beijing. The next morning, our whole family boarded first class. Just before boarding, my high school classmate Luna suddenly texted me. Oriana, where did you all go? Your house is empty. Ethan came looking for you. He said your phone's off and he's so worried he's about to call the police. I replied, feigning surprise. Didn't Ethan tell you? We broke up ages ago. Where am I going? I'm meeting my boyfriend's parents. His mom and dad invited my family to Beijing for a visit. Anyway, I'm about to board. Do me a favor and tell Ethan this. A good ex should act like they're dead. Tell him not to bother me again. Unable to reach me anywhere. Ethan somehow bought new SIM cards and kept sending me text messages from different numbers. Oriana, can you stop being mad already? Fine. I admit I was wrong for changing your ticket and asking Uncle Gene to spend the Mid-Autumn Festival with Ollie. I didn't think about your feelings. I'm sorry, okay? But even if I made a mistake, haven't you? We've been together for so many years. Are you really breaking up with me over something this small? How do you expect my parents to think of you? You know they already have opinions about you. If you keep this up, they'll never approve of us. Oriana, you don't seriously think that Jordan Mao will marry you, do you? Don't be ridiculous. You've heard what kind of family the Maos are, those high-ranking officials. Families will never accept a girl from a divorced home as their daughter-in-law. Fine. Oriana, you win. I give up. I'll send Ollie away right now. Just tell me where you are. I'll come pick you up. Let's go meet my parents today, okay? The texts came one after another. I blocked one number, and he'd pop up again with a new one. Eventually, even Jordan couldn't stand it anymore. With a single phone call, less than half an hour later, a brand new phone was delivered to me. Oriana, would you mind changing to a new number? I shook my head, pulled out my old SIM card, snapped it cleanly in half, and tossed it into the trash, because trash X's belong right where they came from, with the trash. Chapter 13. October 6th, originally. It was supposed to be the day Ethan and I met each other's parents, but now, it had become the day Jordan and I got engaged. Somehow, Ethan found out which hotel we were holding the engagement at, and he actually showed up. When he saw me standing beside Jordan in a traditional Chinese dress, his eyes instantly turned red. He rushed toward me, trying to grab my hand, but Jordan lifted his long leg and kicked him hard, sending him sprawling. Ethan! Alice screamed and ran over to help him up. Ethan shoved her away and, with reddened eyes, stepped in front of me, pointing at Jordan furiously. Oriana, are you really going to throw away 20 years of childhood friendship for a man you've known only a few days? I gave a cold, bitter smile. Ethan, you were the one who threw it away first. Do you have any idea how hard it was to get those 2 train tickets? I stayed up 3 nights straight just to buy them. And you? Without even telling me, you secretly changed my ticket, just so my dad could spend the Mid-Autumn Festival with Alice instead of me. If you didn't want me to go home, or didn't want me to meet your parents, you could have just said it to my face. Ethan, you know me better than anyone. I'm not the type to cling to someone who doesn't want me. My words hit him like a slap. His face went pale. And no, that's not it. Oriana, you've got it wrong. Why wouldn't I take you to meet my parents? We agreed, once both families met over the National Day holiday, we'd get engaged right after. I just thought, you already have everything, while Ollie has nothing. I wanted to make it up to her before our engagement. I raised a hand, cutting him off coldly. Ethan, whoever you want to pity or make up to, that's your business, not mine, and I don't need your explanations. Sorry, but I'm about to get engaged. I don't want my future husband to misunderstand. We've broken up. From now on, it's better if we don't contact each other again. Ethan's eyes went wide with disbelief. Oriana, you can't do this to me. We planned everything, go home for the holiday, meet our parents, and then get engaged. We were so close to being together forever. Oriana, I was wrong. Please, give me another chance. I swear, if you forgive me this once, I'll never have anything to do with Alice again. Alice, tears streaming down her face, grabbed Ethan's arm and screamed, Ethan, how can you say that? I'm already carrying your child. Chapter 14. Alice's words exploded like thunder. Ethan's face went pale as a sheet, and he shouted at her in panic. That's impossible. We only did it once. I even bought you the morning after pill. Didn't you take it? Alice blushed, placing her hand over her slightly rounded belly. Ethan, this is your child. How could I ever get rid of it? Ethan completely lost control. He gripped Alice's slender wrists tightly, his face twisted with rage. Get rid of it. Alice, I told you already, I love your sister. The only woman I'll ever marry in this life is her. I won't marry you, and I won't take responsibility for this baby. Enough. Ethan's parents arrived in a hurry. His father slapped Ethan across the face, while his mother quickly pulled Alice into her arms protectively. Then my dad showed up too, demanding an explanation from Ethan. Ethan, you have 2 choices. Either you marry Alice right now, or I call the police. You got my precious daughter pregnant and now you're trying to force her to have an abortion? Do you really think your family can do whatever it wants? If you can't give me a satisfactory answer today, we'll settle this at the police station. Ethan's parents had never liked me, they had long wanted Alice to take my place. Now that Alice was pregnant with Ethan's child, they pounded their chests and made solemn promises on the spot. Don't worry, Mr. Jean. If Ethan dares to mistreat Alice, we'll break his legs ourselves. My father nodded in satisfaction. Then he turned to me, his expression mixed with guilt and discomfort. Oriana, I know you and Ethan grew up together, and you were supposed to get engaged this festival. But you heard what just happened. Your sister is already pregnant with his child. You and Ethan aren't officially engaged yet. Why not just let your sister have him? Stop right there. I raised my hand and cut him off coldly. Mr. Jean, I'm an only child. My mom only gave birth to me. So tell me, when exactly did I suddenly gain a sister? My dad's face turned red with anger. Alice is your sister too, she's my daughter. Just like you. I sneered. A mistress's bastard child doesn't count. You. My father raised his arm, ready to hit me. Don't you dare. My grandfather stepped up beside me, his eyes like steel. David Jean, try laying a hand on Oriana, and see what happens. My father looked him up and down with disdain. Casey, don't think that just because you threw me a few dollars for college back then, you can boss me around now. You're just an old farmer growing tea in the countryside. What can you possibly do to me? At that moment, Grandpa Mouse strode forward, his voice sharp as a blade. Maybe Casey can't do anything to you, but I sure as hell can. With a wave of his hand, several plainclothes armed police officers stepped up and twisted the arms of my father and Ethan behind their backs. Mr. Mao approached, his expression cold as ice. Mr. Jean from Nova Media, isn't it? I've heard quite a bit about you. Word is you've been whining and dining people all over town to get your company listed, even handing out shares as gifts, bribing government officials, manipulating stock prices, exploiting shareholders. Don't worry, I'll make sure these things are thoroughly investigated. The color drained from my father's face, and cold sweat trickled down his forehead in sheets. Chapter 15. Secretary Mao, what are you doing here? My father's voice trembled as his face turned pale. Mr. Mao smiled faintly. This is my son's engagement banquet. As his father, why wouldn't I be here? My dad's eyes widened in disbelief. He looked from Mr. Mao to Jordan, and then slowly turned to me, his voice shaking. Oriana, why didn't you tell me the man you're getting engaged to is Secretary Mao's son? How could you keep something this big from your father? I gave a short, sharp laugh. Didn't Mom call you and invite you? You're the one who said the people I associate with are all shady, and told us not to bother you again. Seeing the dark storm gathering on Mr. Mao's face, my father's legs began to tremble. Alice glanced at the simple tea house-style venue behind us, her voice rising into a shrill scream as she grabbed my father's sleeve. What secretary? What retired official? It's all fake. Dad, don't fall for it. If Jordan's father were really a provincial leader, why would their engagement be held in a place this plain? Look, there aren't even 3 tables of guests. They're obviously just actors Oriana hired to put on a show. Shut up. My father slapped Alice hard across the face. What do you know? You idiot. Of course a leader like Secretary Mao has to set an example. He can't hold some extravagant wedding. Then, plastering on a sycophantic smile, my father turned to Mr. Mao. Secretary Mao, I completely understand the new rules. Officials' children shouldn't host lavish banquets. As parents, we fully support that policy. It's all this unfilial daughter's fault. If I had known earlier that Oriana's fiancé was your son, how could I have possibly missed my own daughter's engagement? He shoved Alice aside and grabbed my hand, trying to pull me toward the hall. Behind us, Alice let out a piercing wail, her voice echoing through the room. Dad, you're just going to abandon me? You're the one who told me to seduce Ethan. You said if I got pregnant with his child, you'd make sure I married into his family. Chapter 16. Alice's words exploded like a bomb over Ethan's head. In an instant, his face twisted with fury. He lunged forward and clamped his hands around Alice's throat. You filthy woman! You planned all this, didn't you? Alice burst into manic laughter, her voice hoarse but defiant. I planned it? Ethan, was I the one who held your hand down and forced you to change Oriana's train ticket? Did I hold a knife to your throat and make you sleep with me? What's wrong now? You were the one desperate to take me home to meet your parents. But now that Oriana's moved on and is getting engaged to another man, you suddenly regret it? Ethan, dream on. If you dare not marry me, I'll go straight to the police and accuse you of rape. You be *TCH. Ethan snapped and launched himself at her. The two of them started fighting, clawing and shouting like wild animals. With a simple wave of Jordan's hand, a team of bodyguards who had been hiding in the shadows rushed forward and dragged both families out of the hotel. The next time I heard about Ethan and Alice was through a police report. It turned out that Ethan, furious at Alice for scheming and causing our breakup, had publicly beaten her until she miscarried. Alice suffered massive bleeding. By the time she was rushed to the hospital, doctors had to remove her uterus to save her life. When she woke up, the very first thing she did was call the police, accusing Ethan of rape and intentional assault. To keep their son out of prison, Ethan's parents had no choice but to swallow their pride and force him to marry Alice. But this time, Alice was no longer the perfect daughter-in-law they once imagined. After the chaos of the engagement banquet, Ethan's parents started asking around, and that's when they learned the truth. My grandfather wasn't some poor old farmer from the countryside as they'd assumed, but a decorated veteran of the War of Resistance. He had retired to farm after losing his leg, but his old comrades in arms now held influential positions all across the country. Realizing they'd thrown away a powerful, well-connected daughter-in-law for the sake of an illegitimate girl who brought them nothing but disgrace, Ethan's parents were sick with regret. But since they couldn't bear to blame their own son, they turned all their anger and resentment on Alice instead. Chapter 17. After the wedding, Alice thought she had finally married into wealth and would live the luxurious life of a society lady. But things didn't go as she imagined. Ethan's parents despised her for not having a uterus, for being unable to give them a grandson to carry on the family name. So, they arranged for Ethan to have a young and beautiful female assistant. When that assistant got pregnant, Alice stormed into the company, screaming and throwing a fit. Ethan responded by slapping her, twice. What right do you have to call her a mistress? You were one yourself when you took Oriana's place. But Ethan's downfall came soon enough. Alice's hatred festered, not only for his betrayal but also for robbing her of her ability to be a mother. After uncovering evidence of the Ethan family's illegal business dealings, she went straight to the authorities and turned them in. An investigation was launched, and both Ethan and his father were arrested and sent to prison. Before fleeing, Alice broke into the Ethan family's safe and stole several gold bars. But as she was about to escape, Ethan's mother caught her. During their struggle, both women fell from the third floor. Ethan's mother hit the marble stairs headfirst. She died instantly. Alice's spine snapped. She survived, but was left completely paralyzed from the neck down. From her hospital bed, she begged someone to call my father, hoping he would come and take her home. But by that time, my father could barely protect himself. At Mr. Mao's command, on the very next day after my engagement banquet, my father was arrested on charges of bribing public officials and manipulating the stock market. It was only then that he remembered my mother and me. He wrote countless letters, made endless phone calls, begging us to plead with Mr. Mao to go easy on him. But if we helped him, what about those ordinary investors whose lives had been destroyed by his greed? He never received a reply from us. Eventually, he was sentenced to 18 years in prison. By then, my mother and I had already returned to our hometown. Chapter 18. Our wedding, Jordan's and mine, was finally decided, by the agreement of both families, to be held at the Martyrs' Cemetery. There was no grand ceremony, no fine wine or feast. We donated the money that was originally meant for the wedding to repair the old, broken cement road leading to the cemetery. On the wedding day, our flowers were chrysanthemums, symbols of remembrance, covering the entire Martyrs' Cemetery. Our guests were those revolutionary martyrs who once sacrificed their lives and blood for the new era. When it came to the toasting ceremony, Jordan and I held wedding candies and wine as we walked past each gravestone. The path of happiness we walk on today was paved by them, with their own flesh and blood. Now, it's our turn to pave a sunlit road for them. If the soldiers' spirits can see from above, they must be able to follow the road from the foot of the mountain and witness the prosperous times of today, right? As we walked down the mountain, I seemed to see Ethan's figure among the onlookers. He was hunched over, hiding within the crowd, his gaze fixed greedily upon me. I didn't turn back, I just held Jordan's hand tightly. Ethan, thank you. Thank you for letting me see your true face before the engagement, thanks to that rescheduled train ticket. And thank you for bringing such a wonderful man like Jordan into my life.